Hey, what's up, Superdads? So today I'm going to be talking to you about portion control. This comes from one of the Facebook group members, a question that he had. He said he's terrible at portion control. And he's not the only one. This is something that a lot of people struggle with in the modern world where we constantly have delicious, highly processed calories shoved in front of our faces, hyper palatable foods being what they are. You are essentially pitting your wits and your willpower against the billions of dollars that the food industry invests every I don't know if it's every year that they spend billions of dollars, but I wouldn't put it past them to trick you into consuming more than you need. So, what can you do to improve your ability to control your portions? Okay, I'm going to break these down into two separate categories. And the first one is going to be under what we're going to call environmental design, the environmental design factors. So the first one here is going to be smaller serveware. This one should be kind of a more obvious one. Make your plate smaller. Make your bowl smaller. Even make your spoon and fork smaller. Not so small that you look like goofy, like you look like a giant using like a doll serveware or something. That would be really, you'd be taking it too far. But just a little bit smaller can make a big difference. A lot of what people struggle with when it comes to portion control, it comes from their programming as kids. What the lessons that they were taught about finishing, cleaning their plate, finishing what's on their plate. And so if you make it a smaller plate, then you can still finish your plate and have ended up eating less. Okay, so that's the first one. Second one is going to be smaller containers. I can't find the perfect word for this, but if you're going to buy a bag of chips and there's no way around it, well, you could just buy, instead of buying one of those family size bags that you could sit down while watching Netflix and completely mindlessly eat your entire way through, I would recommend buying one of those family fun size assorted chips or something like that, where you're getting a lot of those little bags because it's so much harder. You're adding a lot of hurdles then in the process of eating that. You'd have to, open the bag, eat them all, throw the bag away, hopefully, unless you're a garbage person. Go get another bag from the thing, open that one, eat all of them, and you get the idea. You're adding a bunch of extra steps, and the more friction you can add into the system, the less likely it is that you're going to mindlessly just plow through a portion that's way too big for you. But the other one that goes within this sort of smaller containers category is if you're someone who meal preps. This can actually be a problem for people who struggle with portion control. Like when I meal prep, I'm going to make like a giant batch of chili, right, for example, and I just throw it all into one Tupperware container, and then when it's time to eat, I defrost my rice, I grab some of the chili, I put them together, and voila, I have a meal. But if you struggle with portion control, having a giant container, of something that you like to eat might not be a great idea. Real simple way to fix this, though, is to just cook a whole lot all at once, but then put it into separate containers. Measure out, okay, this seems like a reasonable amount for me to eat in a single meal, so I'm going to put this in one Tupperware container and then another one, another. Okay, so just make the container smaller as much as you can. Okay, another one. Make yourself a rule. No liquids while eating. No liquids while eating. This could go into the second category, but we'll keep it here. The problem with drinking while you eat, and this includes water. I mean, I'm not just talking about alcohol. Alcohol goes double, triple, quadruple times for this because it's going to add, it's going to lower your inhibitions and leading to you to eat more. It's going to add the calories from the alcohol and the calories from whatever the alcohol is floating in, be it the hops and barley or the the sugary cocktail or whatever it is. But I'm just talking. Just even water you shouldn't be drinking while you're eating, because here's what happens for most people: they put food in their mouth, they chew it a couple times, then they take a drink, and whatever the liquid is allows them to swallow the food in their mouth before it's been fully digested by the mouth, because that's where digestion starts, is in the mouth with the process of chewing it. And so as a result, they're eating all this not entirely ready to be eaten food, swallowing it down, and it speeds up the process of plowing their way through a plate of food so that they can eat much faster, much faster. And obviously that's not good for portion control. Okay. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be combining water or something like that, some non-calorie drink with your meals. I would recommend, if you really do struggle with portion control, that before you have a meal, drink a glass of water. Okay, drink a glass of water before, or some sort of non-calorie, drink, so that you're putting something in your stomach, and leaving less room for the food. Okay, so those are all sort of the environmental design elements. The second big category here is going to be mindfulness ones. And I don't know what image you have or what impression you get when you hear the word mindfulness, but almost any successful change of habit requires a very large element of mindfulness. So there's just no way around it. Sorry, kids. First, slow down. Slow down. Now, I can say this is an easy one to say, and you might think it's easy to do, but if you're someone who struggles with this, it could be difficult. So I'm going to give you a couple other strategies to help you do this, but just slow down, and it will go so far. One way to do that would be to put down your serveware, your fork or spoon or whatever it is, after every mouthful. So you take a spoon or something, you put it in your mouth, put your spoon down, finish that mouthful, pick up your spoon or fork or whatever it is, and repeat the process. And just doing this, instead of this sort of eating, will make a huge difference in how much you end up eating in the end. Okay? Another one, this is really huge, is no screens. No screens. In fact, no entertainment while you're eating. The food and the taste of the food, if you're even a halfway decent cook, should be enough to keep you occupied, keep you entertained. And I know that for a lot of us, this sounds like absolute blasphemy in the modern day and age, that you wouldn't have, a screen going and you're texting while you're eating and maybe something else and you're having a conversation. And okay, it's not going to help you. Just think of it as an experiment for a couple days, for a week. Say, all right, during this week, I can watch TV when I'm done with my dinner, but I'm going to eat my dinner as its own activity. And then I'll turn on the TV. Then I'll turn on my phone, whatever it is. This will make a huge difference because nothing contributes to mindless eating the way that a screen does. Okay, next. And this is more of a decision, but it's a decision that requires mindful engagement with your food. And that is to eat your protein first. I said this in another recent video, but really eating your protein first makes a tremendous difference for a lot of reasons. It's going to help control your blood sugar, but it's also going to lead to greater satiety faster. So you'll feel full sooner. Coupled with this is the idea that you should just basically establish a minimum daily protein intake for yourself. So if you're someone who struggles with eating too much, it might sound crazy to start addressing this by establishing a minimum amount of food that you want to eat. But trust me on this, it's an immensely powerful thing to do, to say, I'm going to make sure that every day I get in 100, 120 grams of protein. Because as soon as you start doing that, you're now looking for protein sources, and getting in, if you're not someone who's used to eating a high protein diet, getting in 100, 120 grams of protein will be a struggle for you at first. And that's not even a lot for those of us who've been doing this for a while. It'll be a struggle for you at first. And it's going to cause you to change your priorities. And you will find that you get full faster, you get satiated faster, and you don't have as much space for all the other stuff. So eat the protein first at the meal whenever possible. Not just one bite. Eat half at least of your protein source. If it's chicken breast and mashed potatoes and a salad or something like that, eat half of the chicken breast at least before you move on to preferably the salad, and then finally the carb source like the mashed potatoes or the fries or whatever it is. Okay, it will make a huge difference. There's another thing that comes into play here, which is called the protein leverage model, and it's something that I'm fond of because it's a way of thinking that works. Now, I don't know whether it's true per se, but it's functional, it's pragmatic, and to me that's, in this sort of situation, more important. So the protein leverage model basically says that protein is so important to human beings, that what really drives our desire to eat at the base level, the core of it is the desire to find enough protein. And so if you're not consciously making that a priority, what you will subconsciously end up doing is just eating a lot more than you need in this search for protein. So if like you were to, have a diet of nothing but Twinkies and French fries, for example, neither of which is high in protein, because of the importance of protein to your continued existence and thriving, your subconscious mind is going to drive you to keep eating those Twinkies and French fries until you get to the minimum amount of protein that you need for the day. But because those are poor quality sources of protein, you're going to be getting so many other calories from fat and carbs that you're going to end up driving yourself into being obese very quickly, because you're just searching for protein and you're getting it from sources that are low, they're relatively low in it. Okay, so this is the protein leverage model. And so if you establish this minimum for yourself, all you're really doing, according to this model, is making the subconscious conscious. And that is really how so much positive change happens. I believe Carl Jung was the one who said that until you make the subconscious or the unconscious conscious, it will drive your life. It will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So people will say, "Oh, I'm just fated to be fat. Oh, it's just my genetics." But there's a large part of it where it just might be something operating in your unconsciousness that you haven't made conscious yet, and because of that, it's directing your actions without you knowing that you're being directed. So, okay, finally, chewing. Give yourself a sort of minimum number of bites, or not bites, but chews. So you get a mouthful of something and say, like, I'm going to chew this at least 10, at least 20 times before I take another bite. Okay, it depends on the food, but count how many times you chew something. So this is obviously a mindfulness sort of practice, but it helps with the digestion, but it'll definitely help you slow down your eating. So many of us act like we're in a race when we eat. It's like, how few times can I chew this thing before I can, throw some water in my mouth and choke it down? Not helpful. Okay, so there you have a lot of the highest return on investment, highest leverage things that I recommend to clients regularly. All of these have been proven to work empirically with people that I've worked with, and that kind of stuff. So give them a try. Don't try to do all of them at once. Choose the one that sounds easiest to you and run it like an experiment. Start with that and build it up until it becomes habitual, until it becomes just something that you do, and then maybe tack on another one, the next one that seems the most approachable. All right, that's how I would go about it. That's how I would coach you to go about it. If you have any questions like this is a response to a Facebook question. You can, of course, check out the Facebook group. The link will be below. And then we have all the workouts and stuff like that, the training programs that require very little equipment and even less time. So you can check those out as well. Thank you for your attention, everybody, and go be super.